June 9, 1973, a horse by the name Secretariat did not disappoint the 15 million Americans watching the Kentucky Derby. Watching this race gives you goosebumps as you realize how fast this horse was as it ran down the track. That day, Secretariat became the second horse in history to win the Triple Crown after it outran the other horses by 31 lengths. Everyone knew that Secretariat was a special thoroughbred, but not until 8 years later would they realize why. You see, 8 years later, Secretariat died, and eventually a necropsy was performed. It was during this necropsy that they discovered that the heart of the horse weighed somewhere between 21 to 22 pounds. This horse had a big heart and thus was breaking all the records. By comparison, yours and my heart weighs less than 1 pound. That's why we cannot keep up with our busy schedules and our crazy lives as we try to run this race called life. If you're one of those people who always worry about time, like at the end of the day you feel that 24 hours is just not enough time in the day, or you sacrifice sleep, working or worrying about all that you didn't get done in the days past and all that you have to do in the coming days. If you always eat in a rush or on the go or do multiple things at once in an effort to get more work done. If you're constantly irritated with delays, getting frustrated or upset when you get stuck in traffic or have to wait in line. If you feel vaguely guilty when you take even a short moment to relax. According to Drs. Meyer Friedman and Ray Rosenman in their book called Type A Behavior and Your Heart, you are working towards a heart attack. Slow down. Your heart cannot handle the pace you are currently moving at. You need rest. You're not a thoroughbred, and God knows you need rest. We read in Genesis chapter 2 and verse 2, "And on the seventh day God ended his work which he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had done." God, the creator of the universe, instituted rest at the first moment in his creation. The same God who made the world took time apart from his 6-day creation to rest on the seventh day. This same God comes to us and makes an irresistible offer. Jesus says in Matthew 11:28, "Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Ever since sin came into our world, mankind has been on a racetrack running away from God and running towards more work for ourselves. We go to bed late, we rise up early for work. We finish working for the man only to realize that we need to work on ourselves. So we get self-conscious because of the extra weight, pledging to work out so we can improve our self-image. Then we realize our families are falling apart, so we need to work on that too. But still, running away from God and running towards fulfilling our own desires, realizing that it doesn't help our hearts. Running away from God and running towards solving our own problems, only to discover that we're still not satisfied. We end up in this endless cycle of restlessness, anxiety, depression increased more and more as the days and the years go by. We begin to experience what Isaiah says in Isaiah 57 and verse 20. "But the wicked are like the troubled sea when it cannot rest, whose waters cast up mire and dirt." Our lives are just a mess. Jesus says, "Come unto me," because he understands that no one else can give you the rest like he can. We labor day after day hoping that it will make us better, happy, and more satisfied, only to realize that our labors are in vain. Jesus says, "Come," because he knows that we need what he has to offer. Otherwise, he wouldn't promise to give it. But the condition is that we must take the time to enter the door which he opens by his very invitation. Come to me. Come to me because your heart cannot handle the world around you without me keeping it. Right now, the number one cause of death in America and other parts of the world is heart disease. Notice what Paul says. "Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which passes all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus." Philippians 4, verse 6 and 7. Jesus offers us rest because he knows that our hearts need it. We need to take that time to rest in God, because our hearts cannot do without it. Stop trying to be a thoroughbred. Slow down. Make time for God. Your heart will thank you for it. Your heart is not big enough to carry all your burdens. Every time you pray, it is a moment to release the pressure on your heart. Every time you trust in God, it is a moment to release the hurt and pain that your heart is currently struggling to carry. Slow down and rest in God.